Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, introduced the 2013-2014 budget to the House of Assembly this past week. He stated that his administration is serious about rearranging the nation's financial priorities to reverse the debt burden on the Bahamian people into a surplus. Immediately following the budget communication by the Prime Minister, the government held a press conference where the members of the cabinet touted the triumphs of the administration's fiscal policies to date and the bold but measured features of this year's fiscal budget and rationale. Details when we come back.
This is Lloyd and Lisa Jones. They have a beautiful home, everything in its place. This is their immaculate yard. Everyone can see that they believe in clean, green, and pristine. Everyone but the man upstairs.
Still littering?
Yes, sir. 7 offense for the year.
Oh, what a shame.
Keep the whole Bahamas clean, green, and pristine, not just your property, because he knows your dirty little secret.
Welcome to your Government in Action. I'm your host, Joy Roger. In his budget communication, Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie said that the broad thrust of the government's growth strategy includes diversifying the key tourism and financial services industries, as well as the overall economy, partly through the promotion of innovation in high-value added products. He also said that the government seeks to foster linkages between sectors and to identify and remove impediments to growth, particularly in the business environment. What does this all mean for the Bahamian economy and the Bahamian populace? Immediately following the Prime Minister's introduction of the 2013-2014 budget and the fiscal plan, State Minister for Finance, the Honorable Michael Akitis, along with several of his cabinet colleagues, held a press briefing in the majority room of the House of Assembly. Their purpose? To lead off the public discussion on a multilateral agenda of the Prime Minister's annual budget statement. The ministers highlighted the many strengths and features of the fiscal plan, as well as touted the fiscal gains already accomplished by the administration during the first year in office.
From the very outset, the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance set out that agenda with these words, quote, "My government is acting decisively to improve the health of the public finances and to pull us out of the debilitating public debt spiral that we inherited upon coming to office. We are also strengthening the foundations of the economy to secure steady growth and private sector employment creation. In this way, we are positioning my government to have the resources with which to implement, over the full course of our mandate, initiatives that will strengthen law and order, promote stronger growth and job creation, and solidify our firm commitment to maintaining and reforming our social safety net for the effective delivery of relief to the disadvantaged and needy in our midst." The objectives of the budget cannot be more clear. It takes into account the fiscal realities which face the country, but it also recognizes that there must be a strong growth strategy to put people back to work, to foster a climate of investment and entrepreneurship, to train the workforce for the challenges to come, to strengthen the social safety net for the disadvantaged, and to ensure that there is law and order on the ground. When you go through what we have done, you will see that we have carefully crafted our way through the financial pitfalls and come up with the best of all worlds in a difficult time. We will no doubt hear from the merchants of gloom and doom that this is wrong or that is wrong or that this was not done or the next thing was not done. But by any objective measure, the dispassionate will see that the revenue enhancement measures will not crimp the economy, but will provide a more equitable tax burden. We must address the issue of fiscal responsibility and thus the revenue enhancement measures. However, we are most careful not to increase the tax burden on the disadvantaged Bahamians. We are especially concerned about getting work for our people, especially our young people. Thus, you see in this budget extensive provisions for the National Training Agency and its programs. You also see that there are substantial provisions for the building of schools and for the work of education generally in the country. In this regard, the budget statement says the following, quote, "My government continues to emphasize its commitment to higher educational standards and better outcomes, as well as more effective skills training, all of which are so vitally important to the future. My government has allocated, in the context of the country strategy agreed with the Caribbean Development Bank, over $30 million for education, and this will be primarily directed towards special education and the transition of the College of the Bahamas to university status. In this budget, my government is also allocating $5.5 million of our own resources to the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology in 2013-2014 for the construction of new primary and secondary schools in Inagua, San Salvador, Gregorytown, Eleuthera, and Los San Andres. That is more than double the amount allocated last year and a virtual tripling of the sums allocated in 2011-2012. We will maintain and expand these investments in future years. As part of our broader education thrust, the government will rent and renovate Our Lady's Catholic Primary School to accommodate some 100 special needs children," end quote. It is clear that the priority for the government continues to be education. We continue to believe that this is the key to so many of the other issues that confront us. We expect that there will be significant growth in tourism, and so we have allocated resources in anticipation of the opening up of the Bahama project, developments in Freeport, and throughout the Family Islands, particularly in Bimini, San Salvador, Exuma. On the question of law and order, there are more specific provisions for more boots on the ground by the hiring of more police and immigration officers in the country over the next fiscal year. There is no question that the country will have to continue to shepherd its resources carefully, but we intend to work hard at that task. Our eyes are on creating successes for job creation with special emphasis on entrepreneurship. At all times, however, we are careful to remember that it is the least of those amongst us that will need our help, and so we have in this budget struck the right balance between growth and discipline and between aid and support. I support this budget along with my colleagues and pledge to work during the year to see its successful implementation.
Minister Alcides was asked by members of the press, how realistic is the government's goal of reducing the national debt by half by fiscal year 2016-2017?
We think it's realistic. As you see, in the last budget, we forecast a deficit of 6.5%. Even in the face of reduced revenues, we were able to actually beat that forecast and get it down to it's about 6.2% this year that will be concluding. We forecast next year that we will get that down to 5.1%. Earlier this year, we indicated to all the agencies and departments that we needed them to be more disciplined and more thorough and to identify savings in their budgets. We've been very successful with that, and we'll give you more details, but we're happy with the results of that. So we think that if we are focused on ensuring, firstly, that we are still able to deliver the level of services to the Bahamian people, but also recognizing that it is our duty to make sure that every dollar we spend of taxpayers' money, we get maximum value for money. We believe that if we continue on our disciplined and focused strategy, that we'll be able to get it done. So we are confident.
Minister Alcides said that the government is acting decisively to improve the health of the public finances and to pull the nation out of the debilitating public debt spiral that his administration inherited after May 2012. He also said that they are strengthening the foundations of the economy to secure steady growth and job creation in the private sector. Minister Alcides stated that the government is now in position to have the resources with which to implement their mandate and strengthen the rule of law and order. Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson voiced her pleasure with the nation's fiscal plan and highlighted what she saw as positive developments to further crime reduction efforts and the delivery of timely justice.
Thank you. I too would like to congratulate the team at the Ministry of Finance for the extraordinary work that they've done, facing, especially given the challenges with which they will face and we were all faced last year. I want to say on the crime front, very clearly, crime, you heard the Commissioner of Police, crime is down, things are heading in the right direction. However, this budget, and the Prime Minister said there is more to be done. We recognize the success of Project Safe Bahamas that has the holistic approach to dealing with crime, and that is prevention, detection and prosecution, and also rehabilitation. If you look at the budget, you'll see the provision for police cars, by way of example, which will enhance saturation patrols, which is so effective. We've seen the effectiveness of saturation patrols. We're going to enhance that. And people will see around the clock police on the streets, which will address crime and also the fear of crime. We are also investing heavily in upgrading the Defense Force over the next 5 years to effectively patrol our waters and our borders, and we will see the effect of that as well. In relation to the courts, we will go into this more deeply in the budget debate, but you will see and have seen and felt the effect of swift justice and integrated justice, which is also considerably impacting the efficiency and the administration of justice. There's just one thing I would also like to point out about this budget, and it is clear that there's an integrated approach to governance. The question was, what about the arbitration center, and are we trying to impact more businesses in the Bahamas? If you look at the Downtown Nassau Development Act and look at the cultural festival proposals, we'll see that you can imagine the impact on entrepreneurship now in the over-the-hill area, that the act extended into that area for a further period of time. The jobs and the small businesses that will come the result of what the Prime Minister's announced, this pre-Lenten or Lenten cultural festival, almost like a Junkanoo or several Junkanoo corporations. We can imagine the offshoot of that in selling costumes online, and everything was a spin-off from that. In Grand Bahama, on the arbitration center, my colleague ministers referred to professionals and he referred to lawyers by way of an example. But this also refers to support professionals. So court reporters, persons who are in the business of translation, any arena that can support the administration of justice, they should be ready for the considerable expansion that is going to result because of our integrated approach to governance.
All ministers present expressed pride to be a part of the team, which they say is getting the country back to business, with boots on the ground, doing the heavy lifting to put the Bahamas back into the plus column. The budget announced by the Prime Minister, they said, is designed to do just that.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first begin by congratulating the Minister of State for Finance for being so resolute and focused in his attempt to ensure that the finances of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas remains on good footing. And by any objective measure, you can see the trend that we're beginning to turn the corner on this economy, particularly with the focus on fiscal consolidation. From an investments perspective, Moody's has indicated recently their confidence in the Bahamas. When you compare us to all of our neighbors in the Caribbean, our levels of foreign direct investment and the type of investments we're beginning to attract indicates that we are very good when you compare us to our neighbors at what we do. And we are very excited about some of the projects that we currently have in the pipeline, resort projects. We have quite a number of alternative energy proposals that are before us. And we have several initiatives that we firmly believe will put us in a position long-term to really build this economy. And we've been working on the Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise Development Act, which we hope to have launched very shortly and table in Parliament, which will help us to provide some of the downstream benefits that has been absent from this economy over the years for small and medium-sized companies. We also will sign next week an economic development technical cooperation with the IDB, which will allow us to establish an economic development unit in the Office of the Prime Minister, which will translate into an economic development plan for this country. So we are very excited about some of the work that we have done. We are very excited about all of the possibilities in investments in this country, and we're happy with the work that we've put in over the past year. Okay.
Well, I think what you see in the approach in this budget is an attempt by the government to cause the further development of a number of domestic industries, which would cause Bahamians to spend more at home. We heard the discussion of the Mardi Gras Festival matter, which is a concerted effort to have a bedrock foundation event for the development of our creative industries here at home. We heard about the agricultural school and the concentration on matters related to farming and agriculture, which is a concerted effort to further develop a domestic agricultural industry, which will cause Bahamians to spend more at home. We see that as well in the sporting elements. And once you have a domestic sporting business, we call it the business of sports, with the new facilities and the promotion elements, those are Bahamian new business persons and new industry, which will also cause more to be spent at home. So we have a concerted belief that by investing in these new industry areas domestically in our country, it will also cause for new economic activity to occur within our borders at home. So we feel comfortable that this is a balanced budget presentation that takes into consideration the fiscal realities that we face, but also investment in new industry, providing new opportunities for Bahamians to both be entrepreneurs, to be properly trained, and to have more of an impact tangibly in the economic development of the country. Yeah.
During the press briefing, Minister Alcides stated that the first step to recovery is addressing the issue of fiscal responsibility and revenue enhancement measures without increasing the tax burden on already struggling Bahamians burdened with living expenses. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of the 2013-2014 budget after the break.